to listen. And what has happened as a consequence of that is that all of the modern things that they keep throwing up on the wall, not
Yeah,
even
I
stick
want to
it.
talk about that because I heard you can speak of it in St. Andrews, right? And one of the things that often happens, and it happened a lot on NDC making NMP leadership making this claim that the NDC will give him a time to govern on XYZ and look what he did. But he had 13 years, straight years. They could have fixed any problem he has seen, but he can't identify one. They can't identify the problem that they're accusing him of. They can't say one thing except in the salary stuff. Yes? And to brand these new candidates, beat them with that old stick doesn't make them guilty of what they did, the former party members did before. And you and I have agreed on that, and many people agreed tonight listening to us will agree that not only that NDC have done a better job of governance in Grenada, right, but they have also produced more results, yes, than NMP has done in the 13 years of office. In the 13 years. So when I always say that, when Maurice say, when the falsifiers of history want to make they look good, the 13 years look good, because it wasn't good, you want to point one bad thing, one bad example they want to use, which to me, in this era, in this time, doesn't make sense. You don't cut it for me. So I hope that people in Grenada will look at and listen clearly and let the evidence for its prove and show for itself who governed Grenada the best. What promise was made and was fulfilled. You could go back and say, okay, what NDC had promised me and they fulfilled it. And what they did not fulfill came true after they left office and the NMP get credit for it. Yeah? It happening under the baby was born under their term. Yeah? So they get credit for it. They did it. But they wasn't the one who signed and sealed the document for it to happen. We could go back and look at all the the failed projects and who go to prison, who get a good charge, and who can't, the people that was coming to do things in Grenada. And you could look at all that. So the question of red herring the old NDC using those red herrings to make people feel like they won't govern good this time. I said this here and I say it again, that the young people, the new fresh breed of people are coming into the fold. They have been good managers in the respective line of duties that they were tasked with, right? They have proven themselves at small things, and now they are nominated for bigger things, yes? And if we want to use the yardstick of experience, you could go ahead, because I could use it and say, look, they have experience in managing little things that give them the strength to manage big things. Yes? David had to fight the bear and the lion to do it Goliath. Experience in the little things to be able to handle bigger things. And that is the thing that people missing. You don't start big. The only job I know start from top, Pablo, is barbering and grave digging. Yes? So unless they want to start doing the grave thing, I see somebody had a coffin with them today, passing around there. Unless they have to be grave diggers, they will start from on top. But I want to say this, that NDC has a team of people that is well qualified to run Grenada. They may have parliamentary experience, but they have leadership training experience. They have worked with people, they have delivered with people, and they can take it to the next level. And this is the next level. And I want to say this to our people. Don't expect at the 100-meter dash. It's not a 100-meter dash. Politics and election and getting into office is a marathon. Yes? There is certain things you can accomplish in a 100-meter you can't do in a 200 or 400-meter. It takes work and conditioning to get there. So with that being said, expect to get great work to do to transform the society that you want, but you must be involved in the process. You can't stay away from the process for it to change. You have to be involved in the process. You'll be part of the process. Like he says, Abraham Lincoln says, democracies are for and by the people. And if you don't want to be the by, then you will not ever have the democracy that you're asking for. You have to make the difference. You have to get involved in. You have to make the change that you want to see happen. Gandhi said, become the change that you want to see. So if all of us who are supporting NDC and want to see a change, you have to become part of that change. You can't sit on the sidelines. This is not the time for spectators sporting. Yeah? Get involved in something. Show, look, I have something to do. I got something to do. I have something to do. Can I help me here? You better promise that the government will partner with private sector. So you get your act together. You know, in gospel terms, the government will be your helpmate. She'll be the girlfriend. You'll be the husband. Yes, she'll be the Adam. You'll be the Adam. The government will be the Eve. She'll be your helpmate. She'll come to help you, but you must have someone working with. Yes, to work with and get involved in the process. So I want to ask you another question, Pablo. On the ground in your constituency, of which you're the chairman of in the St. Mark's area, how is it going in St. Mark's? How is Sunset City going?
Well, John, what I can tell you is that throughout the country, not just in St. Mark's. And, well, let's start with St. Mark's, because when you see certain things happening in St. Mark's, it's really a suitable barometer for what's happening in the rest of the country.
Right.
The reason I say so is the fact that St. Mark usually turn in the second highest quantum of votes for the NNP.
Okay.
After Happy Hill, the biggest margin of victory would be for NNP would be in St. Mark.
Right.
And because of the culture of our politics and the way that NNP has operated, and the fact that there's a major component of our politics and our political campaign that is not factored in as a significant element.
Right.
Yeah. And that is the whole aspect of the intimidation and the victimization and those things that go towards the vulnerable people. And Brother John, you would have seen those videos of the nomination day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you would have seen those big turnouts at those NNP groups.
Position, yeah.
But John, you know, one of the things that was happening there is that a lot of these people are in some aspect of the Imani program. Yeah, a lot of these people are in the maintenance gang.
Right.
Yeah, whether it is pitching the road or doing maintenance on the road and stuff, in the bushing and stuff like that. Okay. So these people were given the day off.
Okay. To be, yeah? You know, I was questioning that.
And I'm telling you what, I'm telling you something that I know for a fact.
Right. Right.
Okay. Because I have friends who are either in the system in one way or another,
right,
or who have a sister or a brother or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a wife or somebody who's working in the system. Okay? So the people were told that you have a day off tomorrow for which you will be paid.
Wow.
But in order for you to be paid, you have to put this t-shirt on and you have to be out there. Otherwise you won't be paid.
Wow. Wow.
I'm telling you that for a fact.
Wow.
So you have these kind of things, and that's part of the normal way that these people treat.
These people can't could see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that that is the normal way in which these people treat with the dispensing the all of these social programs that you hear the beginning of the tales about how they're looking after the people. That's the way in which these things are handled.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. How and I was asking this question because we know that is established. That's what happened. How do we convince those people to vote NDC? What needs to be done? Because if
I'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I started saying this to answer the question as to how things are going in St. Mark, and I was using St. Mark as the
yeah.
So you have that situation, and this is more pronounced in St. Mark than it would be in St. John. It's there in St. John, in Guam, but Guam people are more rebellious. Guam people are more indifferent and more, more resistant in that way, right, to NNP than you have here. And that's why we've been able to win that seat in 2008. And no one has been able to win the seat in St. Mark beside NNP. Okay. So Guam is different in that way. And so when you see now at this point in time, you're seeing a lot of the regular people in St. Mark. You're seeing people that you know are bona fide NNP supporters and voters, and so you see households where traditionally they would be voting NNP, but now the younger one who just turned 18 or in the early 20s and may have had an experience or two of the different administration, NNP administration, the last two and so, and they're beginning to say, no, this is not right for us.
Right.
And we are going to vote differently. And you're seeing these people, when you begin to see these people in these communities openly wearing an NDC band or wearing an NDC t-shirt, you know that person is ready to support you.
Right.
Because typically, people who do not want to be seen in that way, they end away no thing, and they because as I was saying a while ago, even people who support NDC, but because they're in the program,
right? Yes.
They had to put on the t-shirt nomination day and be out there because they don't want to get them from the program, and so
wow.
This is what yes, I'm telling you. Even people, I'm telling you, Brother John, who they support NDC. But that is where they're making it. They have the little thing going.
They're
doing the years. That is where they have an income coming. So they had to put on the green jersey and be the nomination day.
Oh my.
And that is throughout because yes, Brother John, this is what's happening in this country. And a lot of people don't play that element of our politics, but it is a critical element of our politics. And it is an element through which they manipulate the so-called vulnerable people that they care so much about. And that's why they're ensuring that more and more people have to end up on this social program. Because it makes it easy to control them. So when you see that NDC is having an event and you're getting 5-6 buses coming from St. Mark to go to this event, you know something is happening. When you see the candidate for St. Mark is running helter-skelter all over the place, just as Dr. Mitchell is doing in his constituency right now, having meetings, going door to door and so on, in a manner that they haven't done before.
Right.
You know that's something.
Yeah.
Yes,
But I think
and I mentioned earlier on about controlling the narrative. The things that they've been showing up, the more than so they've been slinging and showing up. It has not been sticking. It has not made the connection in the way that the Nazenbach tree houses had made the connection. But so much so that up to now, although the evidence to the contrary has been in the public domain for all of these years, you still have a situation where there are many NNP supporters out there who will throw that in your face as something to say that it did have Nazenbach to build houses. And so there's people, NNP supporters who up to today will believe these things, that use that and use that as propaganda rhetoric when they get into conversation.
If you can recall my question to the person who was the architect of that famous theory about Nazenbach house. When I asked him why did he say that, knowing that the people believe him, he couldn't say, well, I didn't say he have it. The question that it left to the interpretation of the people. Yeah, but they know what they know fairly well what they was doing. Because once they get in the minds of the people, right, even though they say what they want to say, they say it. And the people, because of the limited understanding of how politics work and how wording work, the craftiness of a good articulate speaker could twist a word so nicely that you would not even believe it's a lie. It's only the truth. Yes? And that's what they have been doing. They have been able to use those people to craft the wording properly to ensure that the people believe that Nazenbach had bought 3 houses in a crisis in 2008 when things tough as Gugu. Yeah? But they have been in power for 10 years and show me what you have done for me lately. I feel like Janet Jackson right now. What have you done for me lately? And so that is where he's at. And I want to encourage the viewers tonight around the world that support Grenada. Call your family and friends in Grenada and let them listen again. The Deacon, especially those of you in St. Andrews, the St. Andrews presentation by Deacon in the cinema was an outstanding, a very outstanding presentation. And I sent you a document called Revo Economics. And if you open that yet. But it details all the stuff that Deacon is speaking of today. Seriously, it is real economics and economic programming that will change and transform the entire country. And I'm advocating that people in Grenada take a second listen if they haven't heard it. If they were standing up, probably have to sit down. If they were sitting down, probably have to stand up to listen. So for some people, if they sit down for too long, it might just go over their head. But I want people to listen to it again, to what Deacon said in St. Andrews. And write it down. Don't just, because you might forget. Write it down. So the next time around, about 2.5 years after the election, you can say, well, where is the plant? Where is where is that in St. Andrews? Right? Because he had also promised to have town hall meetings of this nature that he's having right now. And I assure you, I believe that given the present climate in Grenada, it requires that to happen, to have good dialogue and good debate with the people. And I think we have seen that people get accustomed to that, where they could come into a community center and a village meeting, a town hall meeting, and ask questions to the Prime Minister, the bureaucrat, whoever it is, to get outside the 16, the 15, the other people, like he mentioned, right, who have been through this revolving door syndrome. They could ask them questions. Some bureaucrat about why this project has failed, why this one taking so long, and ask them the tough questions. And that's part of the democracy you're voting for right now. The change that they want to see happen, you become part of it. So I mean, everybody may agree, but like I said before on this show and many others, that I have learned from a poster I saw, a cat with 2 different color eyes, a white cat with a yellow eyes and a blue eyes. And it reads, although we live in the same head, right? We don't sit in the same way, but we have to agree to disagree. And that may be part of the process of change that you'll be getting. You have to agree to disagree to move forward. Yes?
Yeah, well, actually, you know, as it stands now, the message coming from Deacon Mitchell and the NDC platform is resonating with the people. It's not going over the people's head because it's being presented in a manner that people can relate to, that is easily understood. It's not what people have claimed to have been the standard way of operating coming from the NDC.
Right.
In that the NDC has been labeled before as coming forward with very good policy positions and so on, but not being able to articulate it in a manner that resonates with the ordinary man, and not being able to demonstrate how the issue of good governance, how the issues of accountability, how the issues of a sustainable development agenda for the country impact in a direct and personal way on the lives.
Right.
And the narrative from the NDC, from the leadership of the party, and so this time around, has been successful in doing that. And people have been saying, we want to hear what you are going to do. And we have seen how Deacon Mitchell and his team has taken the brave step to go out there and on a weekly basis have a session in some part of the country in a different community where they share the party's perspectives, the party's policies, the party's programs, the party's intentions, the party's plans, the party's objectives, the party's goals, the party's aspirations, and provide an opportunity for the people of the community to be able to interact with them, to ask whatever questions and to provide answers. And we have seen that this town hall vibe has really taken off. And you can expect that going forward, it is going to be a standard part of the NDC governance diet. Okay, it's going to be a standard part of the NDC's governance agenda, in that parliamentary representatives will be returning to their constituency branches periodically to report to the constituents on issues and to get from them, whatever concerns and whatever challenges and so on that exist within the various communities. So, as you would have heard me say on your program before, also is on your station before, is the fact that I believe that the successes, well, first of all, anytime there is a conversation about the economic growth in Grenada, anytime there is a conversation about economic growth in Grenada, reference is always made to the revolutionary period and the kind of economic growth that took place during that time, and the economic activities that were taken in order to accomplish these things. Okay, and I always say, because of that, and because of the program that existed at that time, that brought about that result, and it accepted that was the period when you had the fastest rate of growth that Grenada has experienced.
Most definitely.
I subscribe to the perception and to the thinking that um, the revolution has established a template for growth, for economic growth in the country.
Yes,
and all we have to do is to return to that template. We would definitely have to tweak it to suit the changing times and so. But the many of the very same conditions, many of the same needs, many of the same challenges that existed then exist now, and the opportunities that existed then are even greater, are more enhanced now. So it is not a pie in the sky kind of thing that NDC is advocating, because many of the things that NDC is advocating are very practical things that have been done before. Because just like in the revolution came into being, there were people involved in cottage industry, doing guava cheese and doing nutmeg jams and doing those things. The revolution was able to centralize these operations and to enhance and expand them, so that you could have had increase in the productivity. You could have had more people being employed in the productive sector, and so on. And so that you could have had increase in the for the first time, being able to export, because now you're able to provide the kind of quota that is required, that the market requires, and so. And we're in the same situation where we can do these things now.
Do you know? I've learned something last week from B-Man. He said because of the expectation that he had to meet, Grenada couldn't produce enough fruits that they wanted, so they had other Caribbean countries were able to supply in the future. Because of the goal they set, there are already some other Caribbean countries to participate in the process of supplying Grenada with more fruits and vegetables. So Grenada was kind of extending his arm to helping develop other countries to what developing theirs. You see? So to meet the demand of the world market, you have to be able to get your neighbors involved, all hands on deck with a Caribbean effect, you know what I mean? And to produce and to be able to meet the quota for the international market and local market and regional market, you had to get other fruits and vegetables from other places to streamline the whole thing, the whole process. And I thought that was genius. You know what I mean? Not just about you going and producing, but you also bringing in the fruits and from other countries to help process this one. And I heard Deacon talk about something like last week that was spoken of too, about freezing the fruits and vegetables for later date, for later consumption, and to use to produce what is needed, because only in the other season will still have them, you know? And that, my friend, that is economic development 101. Yeah? That is proper planning for future development. And like I said before, if you cannot see the future, you're not going nowhere. So the pie in the sky is not far-fetched. It's right before us. It could be.
And it is for this reason that I would tell you that I am convinced that based on what is happening in St. Mark, and given the background of St. Mark, you can tell, and we've seen it in the other constituencies. I just use St. Mark as the base level. You can see that this turning of people away from the NNP and towards the NDC. And that's one of the reasons why you see the level of desperation that is coming from the NNP camp. It's very evident. The utterances, we saw that meltdown from our Prime Minister recently about Guinea the thing, mine, and so. It was like a little, when we 10-year-old, we playing marble and something happened and we showing a tantrum, give me the thing, give me my ball, give me my marble. thing is highly different. You know,
Where did
it looks, yes. I mean, Brother John, it is just pathetic. And I'm certain, Brother John, I'm certain that observers, non-Grenadians, observing us, observing our politics, observing our prime minister, observing the options that are available to us, listening to Deacon Mitchell, watching the conduct, looking at his conduct on platform, looking at Dr. Mitchell's conduct on platform, would be really looking to see whether Grenadians would once again go and vote somebody of the ilk of Dr. Mitchell who really portrays himself in the way that the way that he's been doing, you know. And how does that help? How does that help in the conversation about the things that are important to the people's development?
Right.
And it brings back to mind a conversation that I had with a colleague of mine, where he had said to me that because he was trying to be so convincing that the NDC is losing elections because the NDC campaign is boring and so on, that he went so far to say to me that politics is show business. Right? He said politics is show business. And so for someone to be saying that, and for someone to be having that kind of thinking, it tells you that that is an NNP mindset. Right. Because when you look at the NNP's campaign operation, it is a show. They put on a show.
Right.
It is about the Prime Minister putting on a dancing show. It is about having X amount of artists, and so I mean, in the middle of the week, you're having the launch of a candidate, or you're having some kind of pocket meeting, and you bring an artist or two from Trinidad in the middle of the week, you know, and that is the focus. That is the major element of Dr. Mitchell's campaign. Okay, and this has been the attraction for many people. But a lot of people are turning away from that. And you ask the question, Orion, how do you get some of these people in this
to come
in this situation? How do you get them now to vote for the NDC? And that's where the messaging has been significant, because the NDC has finally been able to demonstrate to the voting population how their lives are being impacted in a negative way, how they are missing out on opportunities, how their prospects going forward does not look good because of what they're settling for presently that is delivered to them from the NNP. And so even the Imanis, who they always try to frighten into saying they're going to send you home when they get in office, even them now are beginning to realize that the situation that they're in does not bode well for them and the future. Many of them, their parents and stuff like that. And because of the contractual arrangements and so, and Deacon Mitchell, you heard him speak about it, and it's something that is a fact, because I know people who's working in that system and they have to pay their own NIS. It is a fact, Brother John. I'm telling you. This
I mean,
is not
they paying the full NIS? They're not paying portion, they're paying the full amount?
The government is not paying their quota of the NIS for these people.
Wow.
Okay? These people. No, I'm telling you, Brother John, this is a fact.
Wow.
This is because, Brother John, we live in the community. We live among these people. And these people tell you what the experiences are. Right? They are unable to go out there in the public domain and speak about these things and so on and so forth, because to do that, they don't have a bread tomorrow. They don't have an income. You know, and that is what is being used as that whipping stick. And that's why I always say that there is a difference. Canadians have to begin to appreciate that there is a difference between electioneering and governance.
Right.
Okay, and Dr. Mitchell has been very good at electioneering, right? Given that he's helped by these intimidatory and manipulative kind of and so on. But we can say that he's been very good, his propaganda machine, his
He's good
election
electioneering.
machinery, and so on and so. He's very good with his things. But there is a difference between that and governing the country. And when you look at his track record in terms of his governance of the country, he has not done a good job.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I was got
he has he has failed miserably when it comes to the whole issue of the governance of the country. And that's why, as you rightly said earlier on, NDC has done a better job when in government than NNP has done. And this and that and these claims that have been made and the way that they have tried to push this line about not being able to pay salaries, and as Deacon rightly said recently, this only happened on one occasion, and as how you call him, Leonard Sandrew did say, that is not something that was supposed to happen, and the fact that it happened is indicative of political mischief and political strife, and you know what was happening during those times. So there's a lot of baseless claims that are being made. This claim that Dr. Mitchell is making about when NDC has been given a chance to run the country and it. And I mean, we believe it, and we know that there's no reality to that. Okay, we know that when NDC got into office in the first instance, we know that the country did not have any creditworthiness, which is something that Dr. Mitchell speaks to all the time, the need for us to be able to maintain our creditworthiness. There was no creditworthiness, and that is when the NDC administration put in place the structural adjustment program, where people pay in the debt service levy in order to, and it was during that time that this thing that they call public assistance was put in place. Let's not forget that it was that NDC administration that established the public assistance program that is being used as a political football presently by this NDC administration. Okay, let's not forget that. Okay, no, and this claim, this baseless claim about NDC not having done a good job in 2008. Yes, a lot of focus goes to the conflict that took place and so. But just remember, just recently we had all this uproar about the repurchasing of Grand Lake and where the money had to come from and so on and so forth. And we saw the parliamentarians that day in the House of Parliament singing all the praises of having taken over Grand Lake once again and indicating all of the benefits that was going to, that the public and the old lady in wherever who wasn't able to pay a bill before is going to be able to do that now because the cost of electricity is going to go down, and the child who wasn't able to, and all of these things. What is happening now? We're not hearing anything about these things. Cost of electricity is going up, and so on. And we're not hearing any talk about that.
Instead of
that, Brother John, they're telling you that it's not going to happen now. We have to wait for down the road, and so. And we hear it. They also speak about renewable energy.
Yes.
Right, renewable energy, and that Grand Lake was not receptive to getting into renewable. And we know that is a lie. We know that is a lie, given the fact that an energy policy was established, and it was during that time that you found the people start setting up solar panel grids and so on.
I think Dr. Jason Nuss was able to speak to that. He showed us the documentation the study that he has done, and the plans that they had for the renewable energies. So when they're making those claims, because they're making that claim and targeting a certain group, so people will believe that there was no need for it and there was no work done on that behalf. But you see, like I said earlier on, the staleest ink is better than the greatest memory. Yeah. So once it's documented, you can't say it wasn't said. You know, every word is written down, and what came from a mouth came from a policy, adopted policy. It is documented, so it can always be represented to the people, and you can't hide the truth. You probably might try, but you can't hide it for very long because it will come out and people will recognize that, hey, they lied to us. Because here's the documentation of what was prepared to happen, and you're saying it wasn't done, and here it is. Here's documentation. It's written down here. The fact people say the proof is in the pudding. If you don't eat the pudding, if you have a taste of it, you can't get a taste. You see? So it's important to have people get involved, and that's why I think that on the platform, I think that a lot of those stuff have to be brought up. The successes have to be spoken of. Whenever you do something and progress, you nail it up on the board, because this is politics. This is not church. You know what I mean? You have to tell people like this and put the truth in front of them. What your accomplishment, you write it down. Your goals, you write it down, put up the people, they see it happening. And the president did a lot of that. They put up the billboards, they name the year, they put up the billboard. They have construction going on in the area, they put it up there, they get people involved in it. We have to come to the point where we leave and telegraph all our moves in front. What to expect coming in that area. Put it up and let people see it, so they know that something coming out, they're going to be participating in it, and they hold somebody accountable for it. You know, one of the greatest things I see that makes sense to a lot of people, when you write down your goals and make it plain and put it up for people to see it, you are committed to doing it. You understand? If you just say it and they walk away and everybody else hear it and they walk away, though nobody might remember everything that they say. But if it's written down, documented and put in public domain, they know what to hold you accountable for. Because they say you didn't say it, right? Because it wasn't written down. You can't hold it against them. But if it's written down and put up, you can all hold them accountable for it. So again, I know that they can make mention of having to be held accountable for statements that you have made and plans and goals that you have set and things that you want happen. You want it happening, and you want you, the people, to hold them accountable for it. Ask questions. So I think there's other little things that I would like to talk about tonight, but probably tomorrow night that will be discussed. Tomorrow night I want to have a broader conversation with more people, talking about the way forward and how the campaign is going and the different constituencies, how they think about it, and how better you could bring to best. You know what I mean? So have the people get more involved, those fearful people, those undecided people, to be part of the new Democratic Congress, right? And the National Democratic Congress get involved in the process for establishing sort of a nuance where people's power could be manifested and people feel the vibes and be part of the movement of change. So that undecided voters in Grenada, I looking forward to hear your vote make a difference, because your vote will make a big difference in the result of the coming June 23rd election. I want to play a piece here, Pablo, if you allow me here. This is this one, coming up this Sunday.
Yeah. Power. Could we forget Progress Bar?
This is no disrespect, but could you step aside? Another man wants to take over.
This Sunday, June 5th, the NDC Army invades Progress Bar. Everybody yellow. The St. Andrews Big Four takes center stage. Gloria Thomas coming down from Northwest. Tessa Sincere from Northeast. Lennox Toes Andrews coming with the whole of Southwest. And everybody in the Southeast coming up with David Andrews.
St. Andrews Southeast say only David could be cool.
The NDC charismatic leader, Dickon Mitchell, will deliver another powerful presentation. Don't get left. Contact your constituency office early for transportation. The East Side swell up this Sunday. Progress Park from 6 p.m. Guest performances throughout the rally this Sunday. Everybody yellow.
So we're moving forward, forward, forward.
the best Mitchell and we like it.
I'm still challenging the radio stations and Grenada to play those.
The best Mitchell and we like it. This Mitchell ain't go feed you no lie. We have the best Mitchell and we like it. Young, intelligent and a vibe. The best Mitchell and we like it. This Mitchell ain't go feed you no lies. Oh gosh, speaking intelligent. Wow, he's so magnificent. Oh gosh, the people he represent. Yes, and he will not relent. Oh gosh, the country about heart. Not an opinion, that is a fact. With the in the future, real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best Mitchell and we like it. Young, intelligent and a vibe. The best Mitchell and we like it. This Mitchell ain't go feed you no lie. We have the best Mitchell and we like it. Young, intelligent and a vibe. The best Mitchell and we like it. This Mitchell ain't go feed you no lies. Voting Deacon for Prime Minister. Oh, for a prosperous Grenada. Let's travel this path together. Oh, with Deacon on our side, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best Mitchell and we like it.
Yes. We have the best Mitchell and we like it. That's what we're saying, eh? Aye. Yes, so Pablo, you there? Hello? I think we lost Pablo. Right? I think we lost Pablo, man. Did we lose Pablo? No. Hello?
Hey.
Yeah, I thought I lost you for a minute, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right there.
I lost you for a minute.
There's just two things I want to.
Yeah, before, just about time. Just
because you mentioned that earlier on, the whole issue of so much is being made about the youthfulness, these young people, these youth, and that too is a baseless argument. And the people who are advancing that argument, the Prime Minister and others like him, they know that is a baseless argument.
This is business.
The Prime Minister first ran for office when he was 26 years old.
Right, 26, so, yeah.
Eric Matthew Gary became a member of the government legislature when he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
When
he was just 27, but 27, I'm 27, 28 too.
Yeah, when Eric Gary became Prime Minister of the country, he was not yet 50 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that argument
doesn't make sense. That's how you say argument. Yeah.
It's a foolish argument.
Yeah.
The other thing is the NDC team. NDC is a very well balanced team.
Right.
NDC have some very key professional people with very good professional background. A number of them have worked in the public service at different levels. So they understand how the public service operates and how the public service and so forth. Yeah? Deacon himself. It is evident that Deacon as an individual has prepared himself for this time and for this moment. And that's why he can respond to things relating to government and to governance with such eloquence and with such confidence and with such assurance and with such evidence where people can see, can listen to him and realize that he knows what he's talking about in relation matters of governance. Okay, although he himself has not been in government. Thinking about it too, Brother John, you would notice that the Keith Mitchell administration, with all of the experience that they're talking about here, okay, well, it has been Dr. Mitchell, Gregory Bowen, Nimrod, and Clarice Modest going to a lesser extent. These are the people. All of the other people are people who have been changing with almost every election. So with almost every election, apart from Boson, who has been there for a while, and so on, and Clarice Modest, it's been, and well, now Nimrod is gone. It's been Dr. Mitchell and Bowen. And they've been changed. The person in the south, they've moved around. Those who run in St. Patrick East, in St. Patrick West. Well, not St. Patrick West because Boson has been there. In St. Andrew constituency. I mean, Kate and them came on the scene recently.
Yeah, young.
People, so this thing about experience and what and so on. I mean, that even that argument too is not grounded in
truth.
Fact.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And we know that these people, they don't bring anything significant to an NNP table in terms of decision making because it's about towing the line that Dr. Mitchell throws.
Yes.
You know? And if you don't toe that line, well, that's it for you because we know that it will operate. They're not a democratic institution as the NDC is. NDC is a democratic institution. Unlike NNP is not a democratic institution; it's a one-man institution, and that's why NDC is able to change leaders
at any time.
Okay. Yes. But NNP doesn't change any leader. And if people feel that is an indication of instability, well, you may have a point, but it's also indicative of the democracy that exists that allows for anyone who has capability to succeed within that grouping and so on. While within the NNP grouping, you see the Prime Minister up until recently has been saying he doesn't see anybody to replace him. And his last comments now is that should he form the government, essentially going forward from here, he would be presiding over efforts to identify someone to replace him. And that they don't necessarily have to come from the inner circle, that they could come from outside, you know.
He planned to use somebody else to bring in.
Essentially, he's saying to them who's there now that I still don't see any of you as being suitable, you know. So I'm still considering bringing some from outside. The same man who said that nobody can come in and parachute into his thing.
Right.
You know, so let's see how it goes with them. And if one would ever believe, anybody who would believe that in an environment like that, that everything is hunky-dory between everybody, and there's no conflict, and things are going smooth, and they're all buddy, and they're all friends. I mean, well, they really they are the ones who live in a pipe dream.
Right.
You know? They are the ones who live in a pipe dream. Because there is that tendency, as I said earlier on, to always point fingers at NDC and say, oh, there's always this infighting and so on and so forth.
Right.
You know, but no references are made towards infighting within NNP, as if that is something that doesn't happen, man cannot happen within NNP. So you think everything is okay? You feel Carrick and them want to see Peter David as leader of the party or something like that.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
So this is where it's at. The prospects and these prospects are looking very good. As I said earlier on, whatever mode that they're playing, it's not sticking. The people are not responding to that, and the people are being quite receptive to those town hall sessions where they have an opportunity to have a conversation with the various candidates, with the political leader of the NDC, and I can only see, NDC growing in strength from here on in.
Right.
And remember, I did make that same statement in the aftermath of the convention.
Yes,
I did say that is the expectation going forward, and we can see the momentum is being continue to build in the NDC's favor.
It's happening. I mean, there was skepticism and a lot of it, and still there is some of it out there. But at the same time, you always say time will prove everything. I'm a believer in time, that everything work out in time. Everything, whether you like it or not, change have to occur. Yes, and look at what happened in this country yesterday. 43% of all eligible voters, 43% turned to vote. 43 in Ontario, right? Largest province, 43% of people turned to vote yesterday election, and the incumbent win 22% of that vote. The two strong opposition leaders, one lost his seat and the other they regained opposition status, but she dropped beyond her expectation, and she resigned. So these two parties will take another 5-10 years to recuperate, to build back their strengths. And I think one of the reasons for that is there's a lot of independent parties which didn't win anything, but people vote for them anyway. One independent win, only seat, and the opposition lost. Main opposition lose a lot, and the two big parties lose a lot. And then you had the Green Party gaining 2 seats. They didn't have none last year, right? They win 2 seats here. So there's a need to get the electorate back involved or get interested in politics again, because this trend that is happening here in Canada, it's on a decline. It was less than the year before the last election, and even go less this time again. So there's no upward trend in voters turnout. It's declining, and I'm trying to figure out why is that so. Well, I think the reason for it is this one. There is this thing that the economy is okay. We have inflation, but people still getting by. But it's tough. It's harder for people to live here now. I'm telling you, it's harder. But people prefer in this context, for those to steal the devil they know than the devil they don't know, the angel they don't know. And I think with kind of politics, it's kind of the black vote is important. But I don't think they cater to it too much this time. There was not much reaching out, even though there's some new faces in all parties, black faces and Indian brown and black faces in the politics. That is another reason probably to be for a downturn until more black people start getting into understand. Look, we are represented now. I think there's a transition taking place from the normal white leadership you will see. There's in the NDC party, NDP party, there's new black faces and brown faces. The Liberal have brown and black faces too. The Conservatives have it too, but those two parties considered as grassroots parties have been reaching out to the brown and black community, and they become leaders in the communities. So that have changed until more black people get involved in voting, and the white people accept that whether they like it or not, the community is changing, and there will be more black and brown people evolving out of the society, taking up the mantle to run for office. and they are popular in the communities where they are, and that's making a big difference. So I guess a lot of votes that I haven't checked it out too, but I think a lot of the votes that didn't vote is a black votes and white votes. A lot of the brown people voted in this election. So then we have a drop in white voters, I think, than minority voters. But the minority voters have to come back up. Now they get any representation. They can't say they don't have any now. The message have to be, we are with you now. We are here now. We need your support now to push us further. And it won't be very long. I don't think it will be very long. Probably the next 15 years or so, 15, 20 years or so, you will see a change, a big change in the Ontario politics, where a black person may become the premier of Ontario. It's not far. As the former commissioner of police has now run for office of the Liberal Party. So the lot of stuff happening, a lot of change going to take place. Yeah. Well, this is where I come to the end, Pablo. And I hope you could join us tomorrow night. And tomorrow morning is Caribbean Connections right here on Gemfm. Again, we play songs of the Caribbean. Have similar conversation. So, win the day. Win the day. Before I go,
not win the day. Win the day.
Win the day.
Yeah, win the day.
Win the day. Yeah.
Yeah, win the day.
Yeah.
And the day. The king.
And the day. Yeah. Let me see if I find out any bit that thing here. Let me see this one.
The report said that we have found significant gas and oil in the waters of Grenada in one well so far. $117 million is a lot of money.
Cry.
Whoa. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, taxes go reach the sky. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, please listen, ye people cries. It's your time. You boast about money in your alley. You say that Grenadians go live happy. You told us you found the oil and gas. Look, up to there we still catching we are. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, taxes go reach the sky. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, please listen, me people cries. You say as soon as you buy back Grenland, you go reduce the pressure from we neck. Look, every day the bill keep going up. Like you one boy, no give up. Hey, Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, taxes go reach the sky. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, please listen, me people cries. Stop the ball. Whoa. Let me see all who feeling the pressure. Wave it. Let me see all who want a better Grenada. Put them up. Hey! When we had to clear something on the boat, like we paying mortgage for the whole boat. The amount of money cause I'm charging us, like it's Grenadians and kill Jesus. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, taxes go reach the sky. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, cause I live in too high. Dr. Michel, oh Lord, please listen, me people cries. If you start to walk after 83, when you retire you go home empty. What? Politician only serving 2 terms.
and they guarantee all their pension. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, cause I living too high. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, taxes go reach the sky. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, cause I living too high. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, please listen me, people cries. I'm falling. Anytime we go down by the grocery, like a magician not following we. Hey, as soon as we break $100, boots, like with money disappear to Mars. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, cause I living too high. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, taxes go reach the sky. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, cause I living too high. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, please listen me, people cries. Hear this, Bishop gave us the agro industry. Look now, our food are spoiling in the country. But every year you bring in a new hotel. Remember, tourists can't see water and bed. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, cause I living too high. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, taxes go reach the sky. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, cause I living too high. Dr. Mitchell, oh Lord, please listen me, people cries.
Well, good morning. What happened here, my thing? Okay. All right, so we're back, and that's why I come to the end of this show. I think my Pablo have left. I think I lost Pablo there. So give me the thing now, man. So this is Gemfm, and I'm taking my leave. This time is 50 minutes past my time here already. Actually, over 50 minutes past my time. It was time well spent, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Later on this morning at 10 a.m. With Caribbean Connection with Tex Manorin, Delbert Batista, and myself. We'll be right back here. And join us tomorrow morning for more of this kind of conversation tomorrow, and what's happening in Grenada, Carriacou, and P.D. Martin. Again, thank you, Raphael Paul, for dropping in hosts of the comfort zone, which in your return in the full. But all the best in your endeavors, whatever you're doing right now. Wish you great success in that as well. Gemfm is still open. Yes, still open for you to return whenever you're through what you're doing, and more than happy to have you back with us. Yes, God is good. God is good. Amen to that. Well, where you did? We gotta go. Yes. I Duncan. Yes. He deserves it, he says. He deserves it. People, give him a blind, man. Give him a blind. Oh, yes. Man say he deserves the thing. Yeah? But he deserves to, a kind of scholar, to go home. Yeah, go home. Yeah? We're coming up.
Give me back in support. Where did he day? I did there begging for support. I deserve it. Give me, I deserve it. Give me the gym. I deserve it. Give me the gym. It's nice. Give me the gym. I deserve it. Give me the gym. It's nice. What did he do? Give me. I want it. What did he do? Give me. Back in support. What did he do? Give me. I want it. What did he do? Give me.
Stay. Humble music.
Yes, where did he day? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is Gemfm. I'm your host, the sheriff, yours truly, John Callis. Well, this is Gemfm, and I got to get out of here. So, ladies and gentlemen, see you tomorrow morning. I'll be back here in these chairs sitting with Delbert Baptiste and Texman Warren tomorrow morning on Caribbean Connection. All right, from 10 until 12 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, man. Be nice and sweet for you. Well, the gospel hour is late by 15 minutes, 18 minutes. So let us change gears and bring in the gospel hour. All right. So there you go.
Under Prime Minister Tillman Thomas, the National Democratic Congress Security University of the West Indies Campus for Hope in St. Andrew. A project that would have provided opportunities for small business development and job opportunities. Lower cost of education for the people of rural Grenada. On the return of Keith Mitchell's NNP, the government pulled out of the agreement with no explanation to the people of Grenada. Now, fellow Grenadians, is this a government that cares about the young people of Grenada? Is this a government that cares about education? Is this a government that cares about rural development? Please be the judge. On election day, vote to give your children and grandchildren a chance. Vote for all the youths of Grenada. Vote for a better Grenada. Vote NDC.
Our Prime Minister, acts like a dictator. If with him you don't agree, you can't progress in your country.
That was advertisement there from the NDC. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, I say it has been a plum pleasant pleasure as well as a privilege. Good night and good morning to you, wherever you're listening from. Join us next time. Please love, like, and share this live with your family and friends. We are a family-friendly station. We educate to liberate, motivate to change. Amen? And that's how we do it. Tessa, good night. Doris, good night to you. And Lincoln Deputy, Miss Redhead, thank you for dropping by. Hilma Charles, my sister, thank you again. Our little sister is in the running. Rafael Pablo Paul from Sunset sitting out in Guelph somewhere, probably sipping on some juice. Yes, some Rasta don't drink alcohol. Yeah, so I know he's drinking some juice, eating some fish. Yes, away in Guelph over there, probably listening to some political conversation. All right, Julian Alexander, good morning to you again, my friend. God bless you. Ronnie Slinger, good night and good morning to you. John Fleming, thank you again for dropping by. See us tomorrow morning, guys. One love, one heart, one destiny. The Gospel Hour, those of you who love church in your house, here's a good time to worship with God when nobody sees, you and God alone. All right, check it out right here on Gemfm.
Your neighbors and friends complaining, they don't like the head you put in the country, losing too much of value, selling the land is no big issue, grabbing the poor without a conscience, keeping foreign as the first preference. Little boy, job and for mommy, till daddy come, daddy go out begging for something to come. Job and for mommy, till daddy come, daddy go get nothing for baby and mom.